Welcome to the Here and Now show. I am your host, Lavonda. And if you tuned into my show before, you know that I've come into from the Midwest where we come in and show out. Gotta love your city. Hello, somebody. And if you tuned to my show, you know that this is a show where I have created real life event and change them into positive living. So if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to leave it in a message box because I believe that all voices matter. So with that being said, let's start the show. Welcome back. Welcome back, my family and my friends. It's your girl, and I'm feeling blessed, and you should feel blessed too, as always. I am glad you guys are spending time with me. I want to thank all my supporters, all my subscribers, all my listeners. And now I want you to take a second to go ahead and grab that coffee or maybe it's some tea or your water or your favorite snack. If you're anything like me, just grab something to get you through the evening because it's kind of like, it's the evening time, almost time for dinner. Because, baby, today we are talking about something that has most of us stressed out, has you burnt out, has you tired, and wondering why you are exhausted, right? So today's topic is the people pleaser trap. Now, before anybody start, clicking off, don't do that. Don't do that because someone very well may to need to hear this message. You know, um, have you ever, bend over backwards for someone who wouldn't even bend over backwards for you for $2 that you dropped? Think about that. Have you ever been so busy making everyone else happy and that you forgot about what even happy looks like for you? Have you ever said yes and everything in your heart and everything in your spirit said to screaming no? But yeah, that's what we're talking about today. Why are so many people exhausted from trying to help other people? Because today we're not doing no more people pleasing. Hello, glad you welcome aboard. Good to see you, Logan. Today I'm talking about saying no without feeling guilty. Hello, somebody. We're talking about choosing peace over approval. I'm talking about, letting people be mad and letting them stay there because that's not your hello. Sometimes welcome. And I'm talking about protecting your peace like it's your last $20. Hello. Because if somebody asked you for your last $20, some of us will clench our wallet or our purse like tighter than Fort Knox. And I want to say hi to you too. I'm glad that you joined. Glad to have you guys aboard. Thank you for joining. But when it comes to your peace, your energy, your time, your insanity, sometimes we hand it over like free samples out at High V. And if I'm mad, if I'm mad, keep it in me. No, well, if you're mad, I don't think you should keep that in you because it can only make you even more madder. And that's not really good for anybody, for yourself or anybody around you. So today, with that, I want to say today, since you said that, we are talking about proclaiming your peace. I'm talking about pulling the weeds out. And today I'm talking about stop watering dead plants. Today we're learning one simple phrase. No. Not no because you're sorry, but no just because it's no. I go somewhere privileged. Okay, that is wonderful. I'm proud of you. Now, if you've ever been recovering people pleaser, um, type amen, say hello, wink your eye if you're driving, because either way, we're going to talk about it. So, we're going to do a few seconds because you guys know me. I love jazz. Jazz sets the moment, it kind of sets the atmosphere. So, grab you something to drink, grab you a water, light your cigarette, or whatever. What, whatever you do. But I'll be back in about a couple seconds and we'll get into it. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you. Oh no, thank you guys so much. It's like I want to keep clapping. Hello, somebody. Okay, as I was talking about before the break, I spoke about, you know, not being a people pleaser. And if you are, you might want to pay attention to the show because being a people pleaser can be very stressful. Why is a people pleaser so exhausting? Because it never ends. You know, the minute you start making one person happy, three more people show up with requests. You know, it's like being a customer service to everyone else's life. Meanwhile, you're customer service for everyone's life. You're answering all the emergency calls. You're everybody's drama. Meanwhile, your own life is standing there in the corner, like, excuse me, when is it my turn? And that's the problem. You know, people and people pleasers, they spend so much time helping others, carrying other people's baggage, and forgetting that they're still drugging their luggage along right behind them. Which brings me to a story, and I see your comment, and I haven't forgot about you, but I will get back to you. So I do see you. I understand what you're saying. I feel you, but I will continue on, and then I will come back to you. Thank you, Lord bless you. I was gonna tell a story about. I remember, you know, one time I had agreed to help someone move. Right? Now given the fact that I'm only 132 pounds, that means that I'm kind of limited to what I can live, and what I can do, right? Now, when someone asks me to move, when they ask me to move, help them move, I'm thinking, we're going to move a couch here, we're going to move a table, we're going to move a chair. Baby, when I got there, they was trying to move entire civilization. It was amazing. They had boxes stacked up higher than my freaking dreams, you know? And I stood there looking like, did they call me or did they call the moving company? Now, after 3 hours into moving, I'm like, listen, you guys, I am done, you know? Because, at this point, now they said, could you help us move a refrigerator? The refrigerator is bigger than me. What are you talking about? I'm not, I know you're fucking kidding. Help you move the refrigerator? Are you kidding me? I know you're lying. So, I'm not going to put my back at risk, because you want me to move a refrigerator twice my size and put my back out. Oh, hell no. So, I'm moving things. I had already moved the couch. I'm out of it. I'm sweating. I'm breathing hard. And at that moment, I questioned every decision I made when I decided to help them move. The lesson that it was in that, if you didn't catch it, is you got to stop volunteering yourself for things that you just want to say no to. Because sometimes, you know, we could say I don't know to some things when you really, really mean that no. But some of us treat that word no like it's a cuss word, but it's not. It's not a cuss word. It's not a selfish word. It's not a mean word. It's just it's a complete sentence. No, period. Now let's practice that together. Can you babysit, for instance? No. Um, can you loan me some money? No. You see how easy that is? No. Because once you learn to say no, and you mean your no's, that is another sign of your growth because you're no longer pleasing other people just to say yes. Because every yes that everyone has can now become your no's. I'm not saying you got to say no to everything, but if it's something that makes you uncomfortable and it makes you feel like, oh my God, I feel like I have to keep saying yes, it's not to make them mad. No, we have to stop that type of behavior. Let your no be your no. And let's say this, tell yourself, I am not responsible to keep everyone happy. Say it again. I am not responsible to keep everyone happy. You know, say that, and you take a deep breath and remember there are just some people in this world that are committed to being miserable. You can hand them a winning lottery ticket and they'll still complain about the taxes, miserable. Which brings me to this part when I said stop watering dead plants. And some people are like, I don't even have a garden. I don't even like plants. Well, what I mean by that word is, what I mean by that statement rather, is I don't have a garden either. So don't feel bad. I like a garden, but I just can't maintain a garden. So don't feel bad. But what I mean is, you got to stop watering dead plants. When I say that, those dead friendships could be dead plants. Some relationships you were in are dead plants. Some situations you're in are dead plants because you can be pouring your energy into something that has stopped growing years and years ago. And baby girl, baby boy, if that plant isn't growing and it hasn't grew and hasn't changed in what 5 years, baby, that plant ain't sleep. It might be dead. Which brings me to my point, which I'm saying, stop forcing life things into your life that God has already removed you from in that season. You know, God's already removed you that person, and then you can't keep bringing them back into that season. You know, um, and it's hard to tell people no sometimes when you are generally, like myself, I'm a good person, and I want to make people happy, but sometimes you can do things that also put you in a crossroads situation to where now I helped you out. Now I'm in a situation to where I can't help myself out. For an example, if you're someone, like if a friend comes up to you and they're in a bad situation, or like, hey, friend, I'm in a bad situation. Can I stay with you? I don't have nowhere to stay. My situation is gray. Can I stay with you? Some people, being the good friend that they are, might say, yes, you can because you're my friend. Get on your feet. And there's other people that would just say no, you know. But also, you're saying yes, understanding that you barely have, your situation. It's just enough space for you, and sometimes you have to just say no because this is my no and I'm not going to change it. I'm sorry you're in a bad situation. I'm sorry that's happening, but you absolutely cannot stay with me because now guess what's going to happen? Your peace begins to get compromised. If you're a person that's used to being alone and you live alone and you follow up and let someone stay with you, and then that's not the ideal that you want anymore, just nip it in the bud, take that away, which, like I said, my point is stop forcing life things into a season that God has already removed them out of your season. Which, what's funny, I've had people removed out of my life. Thank God for moving them because sometimes I couldn't do it myself. I remember have you ever had that ex? I don't remember, but this is a question. Have you ever had that ex, man or woman, your ex, and then you guys been broke up, and they always texting you with the "Hey, stranger," and for me, I used to be like, "Excuse me, it's the reason why we became strangers. I became a stranger to you on purpose. That wasn't an accident. That was a that was a successful escape. Now suddenly you miss me. Like you ask yourself, where was all this when I was in the bathroom eating chocolate and watching crime stories on my phone? Like, no, no, thank you. We don't need that. You know, and something else brings me to a funny thought. Okay, spontaneously, that's how I roll. Spontaneous thoughts. Um, you ever been in a relationship or been in a situation, or maybe I would say relationship or a situationship, and you guys have came to the crossroads. You guys are over. You moved on. Finally, boom, you moved on. Finally, your hair is growing. You're working out. You got a better job. You're feeling good about yourself. You're eating healthy, and then all of a sudden, that relationship killer wants to storm back into your life. No, no, no. You know, you're singing with the birds, and the birds are singing with you, and then this dark cloud relationship wants to storm back in. You know, so no. My point is, sometimes when you're doing or at the best point of your life, and the main thing that made you cry and stumble was the main thing that got you back on your feet. And so that relationship, you close chapters and you just don't open that chapter again. It's like this chapter is closed. I know what's going to happen because if you continue to open, those chapters, guess what happens? Let's talk about the peace you lose. You lose your peace. protecting your peace like it's your last $20 or like it's your last $2. What? Why is this a must do? I'll tell you. Because your peace is valuable. Don't let people change that. You know, I don't care, like I said, if you're a good person and someone wants to, come into your life and they start disrupting your peace. You don't need that. You don't deserve that because your peace is your everything. Because once you have your beautiful peace, you sleep better, you think better, you know, and protect peace also helps protect your mental peace. You know, peace also for me helps me from catching cases. I'm just saying. Okay? For me, I'm just saying I'm not perfect. If I didn't protect my peace a lot of times, I don't know what would have happened. Maybe a case here and there. I don't know, but and I know that's not for some people. And again, I'm not perfect. I'm a human being, so because certain people can say one sentence and now all of a sudden you're rehearsing for prison interviews like protect your peace. Some of the kindest people lose their peace because they're nice and because they care, and there is nothing wrong with caring and being nice, but don't over care to where you lose your boundaries. Because listen, not everybody deserves access to you. They don't deserve your energy. Not everyone deserves a response. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Sometimes being silent, it's quiet, saying nothing. That's the best response ever. Because sometimes and it's like no response, kind of like your cell phone. It's dead. It's powered off. There's nothing moving. No action. Battery dead. Yeah, and that's that. So I also have questions that um, I was emailed. Now I have follow up questions that I'll reveal at the end of the show. But these questions, I think there's like two or three of them that was emailed to me, and I'm going to answer them. And at any time, feel free to answer. Someone said, "Why do we seek approval for people who don't even like themselves?" I think sometimes, a lot of times, people start to seek approval from other people because you need that confirmation sometimes. Like, we come into the world in need, right? You're born and you're looking into the world needy, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just how we come into the world. And sometimes people look for that. Like, let's say if you're doing a good job at your job and you say, you know what, I'm doing a good job. And you might need confirmation from a friend. Hey, girl, hey, dude, you think I'm doing a good job? And they say, yeah, you're doing a good job. Confirmation, because sometimes people need confirmation. Now, the other part is when they don't like themselves, you might not want to, if they don't like themselves, you know, you might want to disconnect yourself from that so that energy does not wear on you. Because, if there's a lot of things, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, I can't like that, then, eventually their energy could possibly rub off on you. The other question was, what would happen if you stop explaining yourself for every decision? Well, hello. You know what would happen? Hello, peace. Hello, peace, and your life would be different. There's the answer right there. You get your peace, you know. Now, also, minding your business. Come on, we can mind our business and drink water. Now, when you hear that phrase, you're like, what is she talking about? I mean, like, I'm not gonna say mind your business, and I say mind your business and drink water because water is the healthiest thing going. Hello. Now, this might be the most spiritual advice that I have to say today. Mind your business, drink water, take your vitamins, pay your bills, uh, go for walks, and let people do what they're going to do. You cannot control everybody. You cannot save everybody. You cannot fix everybody. Sometimes you have to leave them alone. Some people have to learn the hard way, and that's okay. That's fine. Let them. If they have to learn the hard way, let them. Leave them where they're at. If they gossip about you, let them. If they misunderstand you or misunderstood you, let them. It is not your job to protect their peace. It is your job to protect your peace. You understand? Not managing everyone's else opinion. Because there will come a point in your life where you will get tired. You will get tired of trying to prove yourself. You'll get tired of trying to explain yourself. You'll get tired of shrinking yourself, tired of carrying other people's baggage when they refuse to walk. Okay? If they refuse to walk, you can't keep carrying them. And then one day, you're going to wake up and you're going to realize that peace feels better than approval. You're going to realize that freedom feels better than acceptance. And loving yourself, oh my God, feels better than exhausting yourself for people who never even appreciated you. That day would change everything. And so, to my family and to my friends, this conversation we talked about people pleaser trap. We talked about learning to say no. We talked about protecting your peace like it's your last $20. We talked about letting people be mad. If they're mad, let them be mad. We talked about stop watering dead plants. And here's what I want you guys to remember: you don't have to learn, you don't have to earn love, right? You don't have to earn respect, meaning you don't have to beg nobody to give you your respect. Because if you got to beg them for respect, move around. You don't have to earn your worth. Because guess what? If they don't see it, let it go. You already have value, sweetie. Every day that you wake up, you have value. The day you was born into this earth, you have value because what? You already matter. Okay? You already deserve peace. And if someone gets upset because you choose you, honey, let them go. Okay? If someone doesn't like your boundaries, goodbye. Move around. If they can't handle the brand new version of yourself, let them go. Because someone who truly, truly loves you won't expect for you to abandon yourself to keep them comfortable. They will not expect that. So as you go through this week, I want you guys to practice this. Say this before yes. Before you say yes to anything, ask yourself this: do I really want this? Right? And if the answer is no, then you say no without feeling guilty, without explaining yourself, no apologies, just your peace and no. So we are 23 minutes into the show, and yeah, oh, we still got a lot of time. So before I go to the second part of my show, I do want to thank all of you guys for spending time with me, on the Here and Now show. Hello. Thank you for all of my subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you guys who support my show, my family members, my friends, and every person who continues to show up and show out with me every 2 days out the week. Remember to protect your peace like it's your last $20. Continue to show up. I love you. And remember, protect your peace again like it's your last $20. Mind your business and drink water. Trust in God, love yourself, and stop watering dead plants. This is your girl, Lavonda Ray. And until next time, take a leap of faith because dreams do come true. And family, this will be the end of the show, but y'all know me. Y'all know me. If you've been tuning in, it's time for that's right. Drop it if you got a question. If you want to just tell me a story, or if you just want to say what's up, how you doing, that you had a blessed week, you can say that too. This is a judge-free zone where voices matter. You guys matter. So if you guys like, I'm gonna hang around for about 5, 10 minutes so we can do a little laughing and get to know each other. And listen, if you don't have anything to say today, that's fine. You don't have anything to say. Or if you're just chilling, or if you're shy, It's okay to be shy. So shy. It's okay to be shy. It's okay if you just want to sit in the comments like a secret agent, just watching everything and saying nothing. That's okay with me too. It's okay. I love you guys. I appreciate you. And I'm still here. And if you don't have nothing to say, because I don't want us to be strangers forever, okay? Right? We don't want to be strangers forever. So I'll catch you guys in the comments. Uh, and if you don't have any comments or any questions, of course, I'll be back on Thursday with another lesson, some more laughs, and probably somewhere along the line where I've made accidentally mistakes and had to learn the hard way. But that's how we do it here. So I'm gonna take a few seconds and play a little jazz and give you guys a moment to get into your questions, and then we're gonna spend like I said, I'll be here for another 5, 10 minutes. So get into it. Um, Let me see. I see that there were some comments, and I don't know if you're still here. I see that you were saying if I'm mad, I keep it in me. I do want to let me turn that down a little bit. I do want to say this. I don't. I believe that if you keep something in you and it keeps mustering, it's just not healthy for you. And but to be honest, I let it out on people at home. See, that's what I mean. So if you're holding in a lot of anger and you're upset, the only way that eventually it's going to come out is through other people, places, and things. And essentially it's unfair to other people because now they become collateral damage to your anger, you know. So, one way that if you want to get a better if you want to feel better and you feel bad about, when you get upset, you keep it in you because maybe you're afraid of that people's going to judge you. We can't worry about judgment because at the end of the day, people are going to think what they want to think about you regardless. But it's not a good idea to let your anger out on other people when they're home. It can compose a lot of things that can be hurtful to yourself and other people. So the best practice is that maybe if you get upset and you feel it, and everything around you seems to be irritating you inside the home, how about maybe you could take a walk, you know, um, go for a jog, I don't know, eat a snack, try to alter your brain from that thought. Um, and also, I forgot that I had received some follow up questions from last week. So I'll continue to talk to you guys at any time. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free. Last week, if you was guys here with me last week, we talked about the blind dates, the relationships, the red flags, and all those wonderful things. I told you guys some horrific stories about me and my blind date. It was great. So, uh, at the same time, there were questions that was emailed to me that I would love to share. One of the questions was, Miss Lavonda, what are your red flags, if any? And feel free if you guys can, want to put your red flags in there. It is okay. I'm listening. For myself, there is red flags in me. I'm sure because I'm not perfect. I'm human. I have error. I have trial. I have growth, healing, learning. But for me, I think that one of my red flags is that I speak a lot before I listen. So still today, I'm working on speaking less and listening more. Because you got to learn how to take constructive criticism, and I'm not really good at that. That would be a red flag for me. I'm not good at constructive criticism. Another thing that I would say is a red flag that I am working on, is that sometimes I can be impulsive, and I talked about that on a previous show, being impulsive. When I say impulsive, I might, I don't know, meet a nice gentleman at Walmart, and we have great communication, and we exchange numbers, and we talk at that time. But impulsive me will agree to dinner and maybe conversation after that. So, but the reality of me, unfortunately, I may not follow up. So Um, that would be a red flag for me. I'm friendly, but sometimes friendly doesn't follow up on what I might say. Does that make me an inconsistent person? At times. Is it make me being too nice? Possibly, because sometimes you say nice things, it's not hurt no one's feelings. But sometimes you gotta put the bullet to the hoe. The second question was, what is my favorite animal and why? What is my favorite animal? I love dogs. Woof woof. Small dogs. They're lovable. I love dogs. So that would be my favorite animal, and because I'm a dog lover and I love dogs. Um, and the next question was, are you a evening person or a late person? I think what they meant to say, are you an early person or a late person? It says evening person or late person. Evening and late's kind of the same. Not that I'm throwing shade, I'm just saying that's kind of the same thing. Um, I would say that I'm more of an early bird. I'm more of a 7:30 a.m. I'm up early. But also, I can also, depending on my schedule, I can also look like we forgot about the whole afternoon. Looks like we just went from early to evening. Yeah, so I'm an early bird, but depending on my schedule, I can kind of be an afternoon bird, you know. And I don't mean like late afternoon, 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon. I'm talking like 10:30, 11 o'clock latest. Um, and the next question was favorite foods. For those that know me, I love seafood. Thank you very much. Love me some pasta, shrimp pasta. Love crab legs. Uh, that is my favorite food. Well, it doesn't look like that we have a lot of questions today, and that is okay. With time, things will get better. We'll get questions in. So I do appreciate everyone who did tune in and listen to me talk for 30 something minutes. So I appreciate all of you guys. But I am going to cast off. It is 5:40. It is time for me to go home and cook some dinner. I'm thinking Alfredo for dinner. So again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you for tuning into the Here and Now show. Thank you for tuning into the Here and Now show after the Here and Now show questions. And remember, if you ever have any questions or any comments after the show, I will definitely answer your question because all voices matter. And so, with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in to the Here and Now show. And after that.